Yo, it's Sid and Dion, brothers on a comedy path. All jokes aside, we about to change the math. Real talk plus no filter equals not your usual chatter. From sports to politics, all subjects matter. Never shallow, we about to go into the deep end. Get ready to dive in, go ahead, grab a friend. Now this is grown people business, keep them kids inside. Now that's debatable, jump on, it's time to ride. Yeah, now that's debatable. Now that's debatable. Here we go. Time to start the show.
And we are back. We are back as strong as ever, just like a man who is ready for round two after he's satisfied his woman the first round. We are ready to go. I like to say shit to get you to do what you just did, but your eyes the fuck wide open.
Sometimes I wish I couldn't hear what you say when you say what you say.
What is good, everybody? I'm Sidney Smith. That is Dion Curry. We are not as debatable. You guys are the master debaters. Hopefully, not today. You'll become one at the end of the show. We got a fun show, live show, ready to go for you. You guys have already seen it. What the show is going to be about. Dion, this is another Dion Curry special. When he sent it over to me, I said, "Oh man, we got to talk about this." And then in true Dion fashion, he said, "That's why I sent it to you." So you never know with Dion.
Exactly.
What's good, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm happy Monday to you and all the master debaters. It is up in the group, so we don't have to worry about that.
There you go. That's what we
So
wanted.
that's working. Every daylight savings time we have issues. We were saying that earlier. This year is no different. So thank you guys for hanging in there with us wherever you are, whatever time it is that you're watching this. We appreciate it. We're going to have a great show. I had a good weekend. My Colts beat the Panthers, and then the Colts owner Jim Irsay was acting like he won the Super Bowl in the locker room, which was highly embarrassing and I cannot wait till he gets rid of the team and gives it to somebody else.
It's never happening. It's never happening.
I know.
He so wants to be Jerry Jones. He's going to do this till he dies.
He is Kirkland brand Jerry Jones.
Kirkland brand.
It's very embarrassing.
What do you think of the Raiders smoking cigars after they won yesterday?
It was the very Raiders thing of them to do. Now that is a franchise that I expect to celebrate like they won the Super Bowl after beating the hapless Giants, who everybody's hurt, and it just
I personally think the cigars were not for the victory. I think the cigars are more because everyone. This is what everyone can just feel like we can celebrate that the old coach is gone and let's smoke cigars about
They should have never hired Josh McDaniels.
Never.
I don't know why any team would have, after what he did in Denver a few years ago. I don't know why. When the Colts went to hire him, I was so glad he didn't take the job because he's just not a head coach. He's a coordinator, and that's okay. Just be who you are.
Somebody said it best today. I think we can all put it to rest. The Patriots way only works with you have Tom Brady and you're all coaching with him in New England. Outside of that, it doesn't work anywhere else. I think we can I think the Commanders are going to find out the same thing if they bring Belichick from New England to Washington. They're going to find out the same thing. Oh, Tom Brady's not coming with them, huh? So this is just us and you, huh?
You'll play good defense, but if you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't really fucking matter.
It doesn't matter.
You can't make it to the championship game without a good quarterback. They say defense wins championships. Yeah, well, quarterbacks win games, and games get you to the playoffs where the defense can do what they're supposed to do. So yeah, you need them both.
100%. Marissa's back with us. She says, "I'm back. Thank you for jumping in and being part of the show, guys. We do appreciate it. We do have a good show lined up for you. As you saw, we're going to talk about here real quick the Alabama mayor, Pastor Bubba Copeland, who committed suicide. I had some thoughts about it. Dion and I did not discuss it. Dion sent it to me. As usual, we try not to discuss the show before we start the show. We try to come on early. How you doing? And we bullshit a little bit. We try to get our technical shit out of the way. Unfortunately, it does not always happen. We did have some technical issues, but as Dion explained, it seems like every daylight savings time, for some reason, something will happen. But we are with you. We thank you guys for being here. If you're new to the show or just jumping in with us, give us those comments, give us those emojis, give us those shares as well. If you could share the show as well, that always helps us out. We would greatly appreciate it. Dion, so what did you... Okay, so let me explain it first. There was a mayor, and I'm looking on the screen here, I'm reading it here. So, Alabama mayor and pastor Bubba Copeland commits suicide just days after a conservative news outlet with close ties to Steve Bannon and Breitbart published photos of him wearing women's clothing. Those pictures were published, at some point he put out a statement apologizing if he embarrassed anyone. This is something that he likes to do in his home. I think he may have even referenced his wife. This is something they do together.
He and
or
his
something.
wife.
Yeah, this is something that they do together. And then ultimately, I don't think it took long before he ended up killing himself. Right? Was it within days?
It was a few days after
Yeah, so within days.
that the publication.
And 62 years old, this man decided to commit suicide. If you find it on Twitter, you'll find the thread. I wanted to have it up on the screen, was not able to. But in the thread, I thought a lot of people were attacking the right a lot. A lot of them were attacking that publication. A lot of people were saying, "I hope you're happy for bullying this man to kill himself," so on and so forth. Dion, you tell me if I'm being inaccurate about anything that you saw in the thread as well. But that was just a couple of things that I noticed when I went through the thread on X. Formerly
Yeah,
Twitter.
that's pretty much what I saw as well. And it's, it's really, really sad that he did what he did. Because in all honesty, what was his sin? Was he hurting anybody? No. Was he living the life that a Christian pastor is supposed to be living? No. But none of them are. So that's why I just like it's not that big a deal, my guy. Like I we're going to discuss it, but just my initial thought is that the fact that they did this to this guy and he felt that his only recourse was to kill himself is really just a sad state of where we are in this country and at this time.
If you guys are just jumping in, I see some few more eyeballs are jumping in with us. We're talking about Bubba Copeland, Alabama mayor and pastor who committed suicide once some pictures of him were released in a right-wing publication that has close ties to Steve Bannon and Breitbart. They were photos of him dressing as a woman. And again, if you're just catching up, he released a statement saying this is something that he would do in the privacy of his home with he and his wife. There was a picture that I saw of him dressed as a woman. I think you said you saw something where he was completely naked for some reason.
Well, he had his so he has a wig on
Yeah.
and lipstick and makeup, and then he's got his hands covering his
Okay.
man breasts, because he's dressed like a woman. So it's
And he went by the name Brittany Blair is what he went by when he was in that type of dress.
I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see if I can you, that's the picture that I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah,
Can you
yeah,
see?
we can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
All right. So
Here was my take. Okay, Lee is in with us. What's good, Lee? Thanks for jumping in. Keith Robinson is in. He says, "Yo, what's up? What's up, Keith? Thank
what's
you guys
up,
for
guys?
jumping in. Thank you for the comments. Don't forget, guys, give us those comments. Give us those emojis if you agree, you disagree, if you're hating it, if you're loving it, and don't forget to click subscribe." Here's where I was at. Yeah, it just happened recently, Keith. Here's where I'm at with it, and you tell me your opinion on it as usual, Dion. The first thing that came to my mind was, if this is the life that you want to lead, and I don't care if it is, I really don't care what people do inside of their own bedroom. I'm that conservative that I don't care what you do. It's your business. There may be some things that my wife and I do, which is completely above board, but there's some people who would say that's wrong. And so you can point your finger at anyone about what they do. There's things that Dion may do. You would say, oh, that's wrong. And it could be something completely normal, but it's not within the threshold of where you live.
Be happy I'm not doing it to you.
100%. 100%. But my point when it came to Mr. Copeland here, Alabama mayor and a pastor, is why put yourself in positions of a mayor and a pastor if this is the things that you want to do? And that is always the thing that always gets me. Well, get what I'm saying. If you're supposed to be a pastor and live in a particular type of life, if you can't handle the fallout like this, then why put yourself in that type of job? Put yourself in that type of job field. or being the mayor. Go be an accountant somewhere. I don't care what you do. Go dig ditches. Because if you cannot handle the fallout, because it's coming, it's 2023, you are hard pressed if you out here dressing up as a woman and you're in a high profile position that someone's not going to get those hands on those photos and love to out you. And so that's always something that, I don't know, that's always something that comes to my mind when these things happen to these people in these high profile positions. Now, I saw your face that you made, so I want to hear what you have to say about my
I
thoughts.
always find it so hypocritical for the conservative right wing section of this country to swear up and down how evil liberals and leftists are when it comes to how they treat people. Yet what they do in the comfort of their own home and then they get caught, all of a sudden they're just as guilty as the people they condemn. This guy was a huge Trump supporter and outspoken about all these issues that the right seems to think is the reason why this country has gone to hell in a handbasket. But behind closed doors, he was doing all those things he said he hated in public.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked that he couldn't handle the fallout because if we're being honest, a lot of those people, once you hold their feet to the fire, they scream bloody murder. And it's always somebody else's fault. And they never want to take accountability or responsibility for what they chose to do.
Right.
Him committing the act that he committed, because I don't want to ding us on the algorithm, but the fact that he took his own life because of the publication of it, instead of just coming out and saying, hey, this is what I do, I don't hurt anybody, I still believe Matthew 27:14 or whatever. Instead of him just coming out and owning up to it and taking the easy way out and not dealing with the quote unquote backlash of it, is sad, because I guarantee you there's a lot more people who could identify with him and how he felt and what he and his wife did in the privacy of their own home. And this Brittany Blair character that he created, he could have been a witness to the people on that side of the aisle who aren't going to listen to me say, hey man, it's okay for you to do this type of thing because you're not hurting anybody. And instead, his life is gone, his family's suffering now, and he can't really stand up to any criticism that you and I or anybody else might have for him. Honestly, I'm saddened by it. I think it's a terrible thing, especially as someone who has, made an attempt on their life before. It's the place you go to make that decision is very dark. And I really wish he had somebody that he could have talked to who would let him know it's not the end of the world. And that, yeah, you may have to change some things about it, but you can still have a fulfilled life. God will forgive you. One of the things they say in the Bible is that if you commit suicide, you don't get forgiveness. So,
which is the crazy thing about it. And one of the other things I thought about, and you beat me to it, is if you are a pastor, you understand the word and you understand what it says. And you understand if you commit suicide, if you are a believer in what you've been teaching, you don't go to heaven. Plain and simple. And so that's another fascinating thing, is that he took his own life. Here's something else, Dion. And again, you guys, I see some of the comments rolling in. You guys keep them coming. I am going to get to them. Here's something else for you guys all to think about as well, or comment on. You could easily have stepped away from being on the right and went to the left, if you will. Because it sounds like however you were living did not jive with what the right is talking about right now. It definitely doesn't drive with what Trump was pushing, that agenda. And a lot of those people, I'm trying to think of the pastors, that group, that religion. What am I thinking about here?
I would say far right Christians.
Yeah, but
because you got Pentecostal, you got Baptist, you got
evangelicals is who I'm thinking about. Yeah. So you're not jiving with them, at least what they say with their mouths. God only knows how they're living. Why wouldn't you just take a huch step over to the left?
But that's the thing. A lot of those evangelicals are living that way, and I'll tell you why he didn't do that. Because the second that he comes out and espouses that, he loses. He loses his mayoral run the next time he's up for reelection, and there's a really good chance that the pastor community outs him at his church and they go get somebody else. So he can't live the life that he's living in the public, even though behind closed doors he's not that person. It's the character that he's putting on. So he knows his character can't be Brittany Blair in public because he has to give up the life that he's built for himself, which is sad. It's really sad.
You know what just made me come? It just came to my mind because you and I talk about this, and I just got done talking to another comic about it today. In comedy, in terms of comedy, we see the same thing with comics who they make it big off being a character, and people rush out to go see it because they want to see that character from YouTube, and then eventually you get tired of playing that fucking character, but you can't stop playing it because the minute you stop playing it, you lose. People aren't coming out. You're not making that money, so on and so forth. And I don't know why, but that was something that just kind of came to my mind.
I'll tell you this before you go to the comments.
Yeah.
I got to meet Jaleel White. So everybody know Jaleel played Steve Urkel, and he was a childhood hero of mine because I looked like Urkel when I was a kid. And when I got to meet him, one of the first things I remember him saying was, "Is not that he regretted Urkel, but he kind of resented the fact that that's what everybody remembers him from because it was such a huge character that Jaleel got lost
Right.
in the Urkel category. And it's one of those things where if you do a character, you can do a character too well. And if that happens, the real you kind of gets lost. And it's sad to be rejected for who you are because people love a character so much more because they just simply don't know the real you. And I got to give Jaleel credit. He was one of the most down to earth, famous people I've ever met in my life. He was super cool. So shout out to him.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments here. Let's see here. Ricky says, "Man, what a tough subject. I hate religion, but I hate regulation and laws way more. This is sad." Keith Robbins says, "Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this. Just a sad story. But why you kill yourself over that?" And I guess we can come back to that. Keith says, "Dig ditches, ouch, LOL." Facebook user says, "What is wrong with dressing in drag? Jesus, people can't cross dress." And I don't know.
That was Dana.
Dana, I don't think anything's wrong with it. And that's what Dion, in our opinion, do what you want to do. It's your house, your bedroom, your whatever. But you're right. No one can't do anything. I do feel like people better toughen up, especially if you are an adult. You have got to be able, and if you want to be in the public spotlight, you have got to be able to take the criticism that comes from stepping out into that. I don't know if people aren't told or if you are just not used to having some type of criticism. Obviously, this is a different level of that. But again, I just don't know why you would put yourself in that situation to be outed if you knew you weren't going to be able to handle that type of heat without committing suicide.
I'll just say this, okay? I know people who know some pretty influential people in politics, and some of the stories they have told me that these people who are pretty high up politicians, some of the things they do behind closed doors, if it came to light, this guy wouldn't be the only one doing what he did.
100.
And so it at some point, on the politics side, because I don't want to address the religious side of it because I'm not a believer in that regard, that I don't think the Bible is God's word. I think people made it up and attributed it to God. And you can't really ask the first person who wrote it because they've been dead for so long. So to me, it's a big game of telephone in a book. But on the political side of it, everybody knows that you have a voter block that you have to get to go to the polls and circle your name or pull your lever or push your button, whatever it is. And whatever the issue is in your area, you have to champion that for your voters if you want that job. And so what's unfortunate is that the voters in his block all perceive what he would do behind closed doors as to be something negative and bad. And that to me is the issue that we're talking about here. It's not whether the fact that he could handle the criticism, as you said, it's the fact that they deem that as something that is bad. Who did he hurt? nobody knew about it until this paper outed it. How they got a hold of the photos and the information is another question. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was a political rival, because that's just how grimy the game is sometimes.
100%. 100%.
So it's like, you it's one thing to be criticized. It's another thing to be caught in a lie. And a lot of people aren't willing to put their foot to that fire. A lot of people don't want to have to be accountable for the things they say and do, and then when it gets shined in the public, have to answer to that. It's a tough position. I've been in it before. I'm sure you've been in it before. It's one of those things where, hey, sometimes you gotta take your lumps and keep it moving.
Yeah. Let's see here. Keith Robinson says everybody should feel comfortable in their own skin, but people just care about each other too much to be able to do that. Ricky McClain says Keith Robbins Jr. Deanna's being serious now, but he tells people to kill themselves all the time. Ask my uncle Joey Wilson.
I do. It's a joke. The only time I tell people to off themselves, Ricky, is when I'm on stage or on a comedy podcast like this one or the other one that I've done. I've never told you to your face to kill yourself, so don't try me, Ricky. Don't. You'll lose.
Marshawn says religion and knowing the Bible goes out the window when you're hurting inside. Marshawn, that is a very good point. Sean makes a good point. You can know all the religion. You can even be living the word for the bulk of your life. But yeah, when you're feeling that type of pain, that type of embarrassment. I don't know if he has children. I don't know. I don't know if I ever saw that in the story or not. But I'm sure there's some type of embarrassment that goes along with all of this, because when you see the photos, he thoroughly enjoys doing what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he had a whole setup going on over there. It wasn't just cross dressing. He had transgender erotica that he wrote. It was a lot of stuff that, when it came to light, he would have to answer for. And you know, I think a lot of I think a lot of the reason why he did what he did was because of the extremism and how against all that stuff they are. Because on the other side of the coin, that's just a Tuesday for us. We see people dressed up as bunnies and want, litter boxes. It's not that big a deal. We don't care. All we ask is that you don't hurt anybody and leave the kids alone. Yeah. And, a lot of these right-wing people say one thing, but behind closed doors, they do another. And it's not all of them. I don't want to sit here and say that it's all of them. Some of them are actually practicing what they preach. But for this particular instance, I'm sad that he, knowing what he knows about the word, being a pastor, he still felt that would be the right choice instead of, sitting down, having the interview and talking to people. Hey, this was something that I've always had fun doing with me and my wife. It's nothing. I'm not hurting anybody, that type of thing, instead of doing what he did.
And it could, and to your point, it could have been a great way for him to transition from that life to that life. And eventually people would have left him alone. He could have went and lived a private life, wrote his transgender fiction or whatever the hell he was writing, whatever the hell he was doing. But I'm with Dana and the rest of you. I just don't care. The only thing, like I said before, that jumped out to me was, if this is what you really want to do, if this is the life you really want to lead, then you have to know that the other part of it, you can't do. Like, there's an old saying that you should say in church all the time, and people have taken it and they use it for different things, and which is fine. But you can't serve two masters. You can't. As much as you try, you are going to come up short in a lot of different ways. And if you're serving these two masters, especially in the political arena, like you were referencing, I'm with you. I don't doubt that somebody on the political side said, "I got you. We got these photos. We're gonna drop these over here and see what you do with that."
It's one of those things where, whoa, that was not good.
Did you hear that? I did.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one might be the real shebang bang. Oh boy. Talk for a second while I figure this out.
I'm definitely going to do that, because you just said some shit that sounded like the oldest shit you ever hear anybody say. That might be the shebang bang. If that light comes back up and he's drinking a hot toddy, I will not be surprised. That might. You got a flash too, old grandpa?
I do have a flash somewhere around here,
That might
but
be the
it's empty.
shebanga bang. Oh. This is a daylight savings time day to remember, man. We always have some.
Man, this Halloween episode was a week ago. What is going on? It's a little spooky around here. That was kind of terrifying. I've never heard that pop before. I'm gonna have to go readjust some wires,
I know who's
unplug
watching
some
over.
things.
I know who's
See,
watching
there it
over.
went again.
Yeah, it did.
What in the world?
I see that you are watching, Marissa. I know you or both of you have some opinions. I want to hear them, so throw them up in the chat, please. Like we wanted to talk about this one because obviously the politics of it. We enjoy talking about politics. The fact that this man took his own life. That is something. If you've watched the show over the years, you know that's something Dion and I take very seriously. For very different, for a lot of reasons we do. And I guess the older I get, and this is probably why I'm asking the question, because the older I get, and I think most of us are roughly around the same age, give or take a few years, I just don't care what people think. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And that has really helped me in a way with my own career. So it works great within that. But I feel like even if I was doing something else, if I was sweeping at the factory, I was a janitor or something, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And whoever doesn't appreciate it and doesn't like it just has to live with it. Now, if you know me personally, you know that is how I get down. And so part of me just can't understand how a man of the age of 62 has not developed that type of, I hate to just say thicker skin, but just, I'm going to say thick skin. You guys, take it and replace it and say how you want to say it. But has not built up thicker skin to be able to withstand someone criticizing how you live your life.
Well, again, I think a part of it is where he is in the country. I mean, it's Alabama, it's the South, it's traditional.
True enough.
And one of those. Who knows what might more come out later? This could be the tip of the iceberg. This is all speculation. I have no idea, and honestly, it's too late now to rectify any wrongs that he might have done outside of this, if you consider it a wrong in the first place. In which case, I do not. I don't think he did anything wrong. He and his wife were doing it together. It was something they enjoyed. Any way that a husband and wife can bond that isn't hurting anybody else, I think should be a positive that everybody looks at. Now, the religious part of it, I think, is what really is the hidden caveat here, because I think him having to go every Sunday and preach to his members, knowing in the back of his mind that this is something that he and his wife did, that guilt can build up, and when somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to out you," and he has to face all of that at once. I mean, that's an avalanche that you talk about having thicker skin. I don't know how much of a thick skin anybody could have when it comes to having to confront something that they weren't preparing themselves to confront in the first place. I don't think that this guy, Bubba Copeland, was prepared to speak on what he was doing behind closed doors with his wife, and the fact that it got printed in a paper that he had no control over, and they didn't interview him and get his opinion on it. I think this is all speculation again, but I'm just assuming that he kind of panicked, and he did make that statement. He apologized to anybody he hurt, but in all honesty, he hadn't hurt really anybody. The word is the word, whether you're living it or not. So honestly, it all boils down to faith when it comes to religion anyway. Either you believe that what's in your religious text is factual or not. So whether the pastor is living that life or not doesn't change the message that quote unquote God is giving. It says in there that nobody's perfect and that there was only one perfect person, and he gave his life. So all you have to do at the end of your days is say you're sorry, and then you're forgiven, and then you can make it into heaven as long as you don't do what he did,
Well,
which is
and there is kind of where I would probably go with it as well. And you touched on it before with him being a pastor. I don't know if he was a lead pastor. I don't know if he was an associate pastor. I don't have that. I don't know that. Maybe someone out there knows. But if you are in that position, I'm working under the assumption that you believe what's inside of inside that book that you read every night, that serves as the guide for your life, so on and so forth. So again, I'm a little shocked, but he's still human. And Dion makes a great point. Someone blasts that out, and now everybody and their mother knows, and all of your friends and people you just were not prepared to know this information. And if you have kids, now the friends of your kids know, grandkids, whatever. He was 62, so I'm assuming he had some of that going on. Marshawn said, back in the day, your word was your rep. Today, it's your image. I'm sure he felt the loss. He lost both, and this was his out. Sean, that's a very good comment, and a great way to fucking look at it. Do you feel like you're getting ready to say something?
Yeah. So, and the publication that outed him was 1819 News,
That's right. Yep.
which is a right wing conservative newspaper. Mr. Copeland asked them not to out him, but they did so anyway. Excuse me. The Daily Beast notes that the mayor did not appear to have taken any anti-LGBT plus stances. So there's that. So again, it's one of those things where he knows where he lives. He knows who his constituents are. He knows his voters block and their values. He knows what his congregation believes and is for and is against. And so for him to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak, and to get up there and, say, this is the way you're supposed to live your life. This is God's word, blah, 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 blah. But behind closed doors, he's doing this with his wife. It's one thing if it's found out. It's another thing if it's outed. I think I have a problem with it being outed.
100%. 100%.
To me, that's not really journalism, because if you look at it, would he still be here today if they had never published this story?
Yeah, living his life.
99.9% chance, yes. You never know. He might have been depressed. Who knows? But I would say the odds are more than 50% that he would still be here if they hadn't went forward with this story. And what did this story really? What did it? Who did it serve? The readers of this paper, this magazine or whatever, this online site. Are their readers better off for knowing that this guy was cross-dressing behind closed doors with his wife?
I'm sure they believe it, and I'm sure there's a few readers that believe it as well. Like, we had the right to know, and this is what we're talking about. Like, oh, look at, he's probably I'm sure he was probably undercover Democrat.
I'm glad you said that. They have the right to know. So now that you know that he was doing this, how did that affect his policy decisions? How did that affect the way that he preached? Did it?
Look,
I'm just saying that now that you have the information that you felt like you needed, not you specifically, obviously, but these people who say, I have the right to know, now that you know that he was doing this behind closed doors, did that change what he was preaching on Sundays? Did that change?
That will change people in the congregation for sure. Not to say they're going to be happy he killed himself, but they will for sure not have wanted him in the pulpit preaching the word if this was what he was doing. 100%.
Okay, so if the pastor is the only example that you take from how you're supposed to live your life and your pastor is not doing the right thing, does that change what the message was on Sunday? Does that change? No, it doesn't. Either you believe it or you don't.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who's telling you. Look, because I like it into this.
It does change it though, Dion. For them, it changes it.
Okay, and what way would it change?
It changes that if you're standing here telling me out of that book, this is what God says, and this is how we should live, and these are the rules we should abide by, then I need you to be doing the same thing that you're asking of me. That's how that changes.
Right. And so to those people, I would clearly say that everybody's human, and that if you are expecting the shepherd to know how to keep all the sheep in line, like if you're only looking at the ass in front of you, you're gonna lose The whole basis of religion is to have faith that at the end of this journey, you were what your religion says you needed to be. And it doesn't matter who's telling you what the religion is saying. It doesn't what they're doing in their personal life has no effect on you getting the message of you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, and you should be living this way. At the end of the day, are you comparing your life to theirs, or your life to what
Yeah, you got to be
the
kidding.
book?
You got to be kidding me right now. I hate to interrupt you. You got to be kidding me. That would be like a person smoking crack in front of me and telling me I shouldn't smoke crack.
Yeah, and you know who's more qualified to tell you who you shouldn't smoke crack? A person smoking crack.
Could stop it.
You should
Stop
believe
it.
a crackhead over
Stop
anybody
it.
who's never smoked crack. Absolutely. I would trust a crackhead to tell me, hey, you shouldn't smoke crack as he hits the pipe. I'd be like, you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about.
Excuse me, folks. I think the daylight savings time throws me off more than any of you. I don't know though. But Marissa says, I was raised Catholic, but I was taught to love everyone. I wasn't taught to judge someone on their sexual orientation. I was taught to welcome that 16-year-old girl that might show up pregnant to church because that may have been harsh for her to do. So I wasn't raised in the Christian stereotype, what people may think. Okay. Ricky says, I agree. The older I get, the more I enjoy my weird, but in high school, it would ruin my life if you said that. And then Marissa says, but no one can make you commit suicide, but for sure influence or throw that last thing that makes someone snap. I'm assuming this is Dana, says Facebook user, says, all those priests diddling these little boys, poor dude just enjoying his life with his wife. Yeah, and
No,
that's
that was Joanne.
Oh,
Little.
Joanne. Yeah, Joanne, I don't think I didn't think about that as well. I do think the big difference is, excuse me, the Catholic Church was doing a massive job of hiding that from the public.
But were they though?
They were for a long time. A long time they were. It hasn't been to the last 25, maybe 30 years that this has started to kind of come out and people know about it. There was a lot of years, that no one knew about it. At least not the
No,
masses.
no, I think the masses knew, but I think it was the
No.
fact that it was the Catholic Church and that you don't get to question. It wasn't until social media became a thing where
Well, the masses
things,
can't know if the information is not out there. It wasn't until like within the last
but the
25, 30.
information was out there. There's been George Carlin joked about this back in the 70s and 80s. It's not like we weren't aware of what was going on behind closed doors in the Catholic religion. It's not like people didn't know. It's just the fact that there was no pressure because the Catholic Church controlled everything.
And to my point, that's why I said the masses didn't know. I'm not saying that in your little small town on the East Coast that the people in the neighborhood didn't know that the priest was doing what he was doing, and that's because there would be no reason for the church to swoop in and take that priest and send his ass to Mexico to hide his ass and bring in another priest and that type of thing, which we come to find out that that's what the Catholic Church was doing for decades. I'm just saying the masses, the public at large, did not know all at once until within this started the last 25, 30 years. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I respectfully disagree.
Oh, well, that's what you do. That's why the show's called Not Us Today. I mean,
Because I
that's why I
think
wouldn't do
people
the show.
did know.
That's why I wouldn't do the show with anybody else but you.
Well, because people did know. People just there was no pressure, and it isn't until you apply pressure to these types of situations where people actually start to pay attention. Everybody's heard the joke. Everybody heard the reference. But no, there was no follow up to it, and so that's how it was able to be swept under the rug. And it wasn't until the last 25, 30 years with social media where people could keep applying pressure. You had access to 24/7 information to where if you wanted to dive a little deeper, you could. I'm not saying that 25, 30, 40 years ago that it was as prevalent. No, but I'm saying people knew about it. The masses knew about it for
Okay,
sure.
well, I mean, I mean, we're going to disagree on this, and mostly because you're wrong again. So we're going to disagree on this. So
Cue the eye roll.
don't you ever get tired? Oh, don't you do it? You're calling back my shit from last week.
Yes, I.
Don't be using my finished move. Ah, girl. None of you guys use my shit this weekend with your ladies, all right? That's mine. That's patented. Let's see. Good question, Dion. Facebook user says, not practicing what you are preaching. Facebook user says they just moved them to another church. 100%.
So Lee said not practicing what you're preaching, and Joanne said they just moved to another church.
And Marissa says, I believe in my religion and not the people in it. Sad. And Rick says, y'all argue with me about drugs all the time, and I'm just telling you what I know from experience. What are you talking about, Rick? Did I miss something that Rick said? What happened?
It's Rick.
All right, okay. I didn't.
Trust Rick to be Rick.
Rick,
That's
if we missed something that you said that you feel like before we move on, tell me real quick what it
and
is.
make sure you type it accurately, please.
And Marissa makes a good point. I believe in my religion, not the people in it. And a lot of people over the years I've heard say that. I grew up in the church. I'm still a believer. At this point though, well, hell, even growing up in it, I liked religion more as an academic, as opposed to something that I was just going to be spiritual and practice every single day. Once I got to be of an age to start to question some things. But doesn't mean I don't believe. And a lot of people do say you believe in the religion, not in the person. But I always say that that is a cop out, because you're letting the person who's supposed to be leading off the hook if you're going to say something like that.
But it's not your job to judge that person.
We're not talking about judging. We're not talking about judging. If you're coming in and I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and I'm coming to you as a lot of people do, not saying I did when I was a kid, come to you for guidance and so on and so forth. I am looking at you as the spiritual leader of this church. And so you must be living according to the things that you are preaching and you're asking of us every single week. This does not, you want it to work a different way, but it doesn't work a different fucking way.
I understand the point that you just made. You're supposed to practice what you preach. But let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this.
Okay, no, if I tell you 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And then I show you that 2 plus 2 is 4, right? But I don't believe personally that 2 plus 2 is 4. Does that change the outcome whatsoever of the math that we just did? No. So whether
yes, it does.
It does.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. If I tell you 2 plus 2 is 4, then I show you 2 plus 2 is 4. But behind closed door, I'm like, these fucking idiots. 2 plus 2 is not 4. If that's my belief, if that's what I think behind closed doors, what difference does that make on the math that you and I just did together? None.
No, because if you don't believe it and it comes out you don't believe 2 plus 2 is 4, to use this is simplifying it way beyond. Then I need, and so we all are going to need someone in here who understands that 2 plus 2 is 4. We don't need you up here pretending, because what is even the purpose if you don't believe it? Why are you even here? Why are you even here if you don't believe 2 plus 2 is 4?
Because
why
at
are
the
you
end
even
of
here?
the day, it's not about the messenger; it's about the message.
Why
and even
are
if I
you
don't,
here?
hold on, let me finish. If it doesn't, whether I believe the message that I'm preaching or not is irrelevant to the people who need the message.
Okay.
So it at the end of the day, you can nitpick all you want to, and I'm not disagreeing with your nitpick. I understand why you're
It's
saying
not
it. But
nitpicking. And
is.
your huge flaw with your example is
it doesn't change the message whether the messenger is living it or not.
The big flaw in what you just said is that we all know, because numbers don't lie. 2 plus 2 is fucking 4. You're not.
And if you have the faith in the book that the guy is preaching
see,
from,
there you
what
go,
difference
and
does
you
it
use
make?
the word. You use the word. You don't believe 2 plus 2 equals 4 on faith. You believe it because you know 2 plus 2 equals 4 because that's what it is.
You ask any believer, they'll tell you to your face that it's not faith. It's what they.
No, you won't.
They
won't. They will tell you you have to have faith. You nail it down. You have to have faith.
And at the end of the day, any believer will tell you to your face, I believe this is to be the true word of God, right? They don't question it. Why? Because that's what they believe. That's what they've been taught.
That's not the same thing, Dion.
Yes, it is.
It isn't. Because now you're talking about religion, not math. Math is something everyone knows to be what it is. That's not religion.
What I'm saying is to believers, to those who believe, that this is the one true God, there is no doubt. There is no question. There is no wonder. That's what I'm telling you.
I hear
I've
what
had these conversations with mega Christians
bro.
over and
I've been
over
in
and
the
over
church my
again.
entire life. You
I
can't.
know.
You haven't had more of these conversations than I have. I get what you're
I think I
saying.
have.
I don't think you
I think
have.
I have.
Not even close
I
to
think
it.
I have. I'd love to debate you on that one.
We can't. Marissa says, "Wow, I agree with Dion." I got to tell you, Marissa, I hate that for you to be wrong too.
Thank you, Marissa.
Marshawn says, "How can you believe in the message when the messenger doesn't?" Thank you, Marshawn.
And I'll
And
tell you why. Because the messenger is a regular ass person just like you. That's why. You're not supposed to put your faith in the messenger. You're supposed to put the faith in the message.
no one says you're putting your faith just in the messenger. You're putting. I need the person who is stealing the teaching to
And in
actually
order to
believe
do
it,
what?
Dion.
In order to do what? To what? Have faith in what they're saying. Exactly. That's why you're putting your faith in the messenger. I'm putting my faith that this messenger is bringing me a message that I'm supposed to believe in. But if they're not living it, oh, all of a sudden I don't believe the message anymore. Why? Because the messenger
No
isn't
one
living
said
it.
you don't believe
No,
the
it's a load of
okay, all right.
crap.
All right. Ricky says knowledge means nothing if there's a typo. Okay. Facebook user says, what if someone else in his church was cross-dressing and he wasn't outed? Would he come at the situation as a devout Christian preacher? I do feel like that would be proper.
He says, I do not. I do not feel like that would be proper.
I don't see a not. I see I do feel, but I assume he means I do not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what he meant. Who is
That
it?
was Lee. Lee said, "What if
Okay.
someone else in the church was ousted, was cross-dressing, and wasn't ousted? Would he have comment?" Well, according to that article, Lee, it said that he didn't espouse any anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric, so I don't think he would have had a problem with it.
I think he would have had a problem with it. I think he would have had a problem with it, and this is why. Because if you're living the lie that he was living as a pastor, and someone else comes to you, you have to
Where in
keep
the
the lie
Bible does
up.
it say you can't dress like a woman?
I didn't say that the Bible did or didn't say it. I'm
Okay,
saying
so
I'm telling you. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if we're talking about cross-dressing, which is what he was outed for, he was doing it with his wife, who you're allowed to do things with according to
These are two
to
different
the
things. These are two different things. These are two different.
how.
Because we're not. We know what he was doing. The question was, or the thought was that Lee gave, and thank you, Lee, for giving us the thought. Is obviously you see this is going to be another good part of our debate here. The question that was posed was, if he had never been outed, and fuck, let's say me, I'll use myself. I'm part of his congregation, and I come to him and say, "Hey, man, this is what I'm doing. What do you think?" I'm coming to you because I'm feeling like this is not what God wants. This is something wrong with it, and this is why he was hiding it as well. He is going to say, "You shouldn't be doing it," because he's got to keep up with the appearance. He's going to say it. This isn't about where does it say in the word, where does it not say in the word. This has everything to do with keeping up the appearance of what he was trying to do, which is being a good Christian pastor.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because if we're just keeping up with the Joneses, then the word doesn't fucking matter, because that's not the point. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
All right.
That's the whole crux of my argument. You're more worried about the guy than what the message is. And the message is what you're supposed to be paying attention to, not the messenger. Everybody knows the messenger has
And,
as
and
big a
everybody
chance as being wrong as they do being right.
and,
So
every, and
your responsibility is to apply the message to your own personal life, whether you believe it or not. That's the whole goal of this religious experiment. Is that I'm supposed to take these words, apply them to my life, and get the end result that is promised to me in those words. I don't need to worry about what pastors doing. I don't need to worry about what ushers doing. I don't need to worry about what
that is
the choir director's doing. It is all of that is irrelevant.
that's Facebook user says just fill up the envelope with cash. They might be more accepting of the guy in a dress.
Joanne,
Marshawn says then I'll sit home and read my book. No need for the messenger.
you don't.
Ricky that's not true. Ricky McLean says one typo means everything that was said is wrong. That's gaslighting. The fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about right now?
No, Ricky, the reason why I don't want you to have typos is that when we go to read it, we don't want to misquote you. That's
It's
the
not,
reason why I said
Ricky.
it. It, it,
This is
it
not important. This is not important. Do you have something to say about? You know, Rick, I'm the one who has the most patience with you every week, and you are draining it. Do you have something to say about the topic? We are not going to go through this explaining shit every fucking week. Your typos, to Dion's point, we have to read this shit. I would rather get it out in one shot, but I would also prefer that you get it out in one shot so you don't have to come through and type what you really meant. That is why. Plain and simple. You do this every week, man. Cut the shit. We have one person already who doesn't come on to the show anymore because I ran her ass off gladly. Don't be the second one, Rick. Just say what you got to say. This whole thing where you got to start little battles with Dion, sick of it. Be an adult.
Me too.
Facebook user says, oh, I see. I'm unfamiliar with this one.
Lee Jones.
Lee. Carla is on, says, hello, guys. Mercer says, the messenger is fallible. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so going back, because we're all human and we all fall short. If you went to church, you've heard that said a million times. We all fall short of the glory.
We fall down, but we get up.
Look here, heathen.
I'm just saying.
If you start waving a flag around and sing at the same time.
Or say it's just us who fell down, but got back up.
You know what this is? I hope the Lord understands what this is. This is you trying to cover your fucking. Because you're a gambler. This is you hedging your bets. just in case 50 years from now you get to the pearly gates, like, hey man, remember that time I sang those lyrics?
At the end, they tell you this: you get one life, right? So at the end of the road, at the end of my days, what I did when I did it is what I did when I did it. Ain't gonna be no oops, my bads. Ain't gonna be no I'm sorry. I did what I did. I knew full well. So I'm not gonna be able to complain at the end of the day. I know what's going on. Let me tell you this. The person who's in charge of everything allows everything to happen, good, bad, or indifferent.
Look, man, if you keep this up, I'm not gonna be able to get you in the club. All right, I could probably come over to the box.
I got a feeling you and I ain't getting in the club.
I'm getting in.
No, you're not getting in.
I'm getting in. I know a guy. I'm getting
You're gonna be doing interviews in 1819. Well, what happened is I met him back in 2000.
What? Wait, hold on. What? I'm doing what?
I'm talking about me.
I'm about
Why
to
were
say,
you partners with this guy for so long?
Look, man, I'm getting in.
He gave me a T-shirt design and everything.
How long you gonna live off that, man?
Forever, ever and a day.
Oh, that's why I keep you on the payroll. All right. Thank you guys very much, man. This was a good conversation, and I appreciate all the comments. We're going to shift gears momentarily, just for a moment, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. So you guys stay with us. Wait a minute, y'all both going to hell first class. Who said that? You see who said that?
Lee Jones.
Lee, fuck you, man. you another one.
That just stamped your ticket.
Now I definitely going, Lee. Right, bastard. I think God put you here to make sure I go. Is what it looked like. The devil put you in place. All right, Dion had the next topic he wanted to talk about, and we're going to shift to that. Thank you guys for joining us again here on Not As Debatable. Sorry for the people who joined. Sorry for the late start, but thank you guys for jumping in and hanging in there. Dion, I'm gonna let you take it away from here because I don't want to sound like whatever, like we talked about.
So obviously, it's a very big week for Sydney, the Now Less Debatable. What's the word I want to use?
Genius.
The creator, the mastermind of this whole concept of the show. Sydney created the show. He's filming his first special this weekend. And I wanted to ask him some questions, maybe give you guys a little bit of insight to the thought process behind what makes Sydney tick and who he is as a comic. A lot of you guys know him from the show and not necessarily through his comedy. So I felt like this would be a great time, the week before the special, that we could get to ask him some questions and see what his thoughts are going in. And then next week we'll follow up after the special's been taped and see how what we talk about today versus next week, excuse me, how he feels the whole thing went. So my first question to you, excuse me, goodness gracious, I got a gas bubble in my chest. Hold
While
on.
he's burping, I do want to say this. Don't y'all fall off now. Right? Y'all better still be watching. I can see when people drop off. See, I just saw somebody fall off right there. You better not act like I'm not interested. Marshawn says no, nobody cares. See it, Sean, your tickets have just been taken away from you, but I'm keeping your money too. Go ahead, Dion.
So the very first thing I wanted to ask you, the name of the special is Misunderstood.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about how you came to name the special, your first special, Misunderstood? Where did that title come from?
From the very start of my career, man, when I started telling my family that I was selling jokes, everybody's like, you weren't very funny when we were growing up, man. You didn't crack any jokes. You were super serious all the time because I was a bookworm kid, and I had my goals, and that's what I had in front of me, and I didn't have time for anything else. So between that, and then once I got really into this, and you and I talk about this a lot on the show, you find your voice, and your voice may be different than what people know you to be off stage, and I can't believe you said that up there. I can't believe you think that way. Some of it is just because that's what I believe, and I got to spin it in an entertaining way. But then the people get a misunderstanding from that after shows when they come up because I'm very opinionated about what I think and what I believe, and I really don't apologize for it. And people will come up and they have their thought process on that too. But then people want to pigeonhole you in just that, as well as with my scripts and the films and the sketches that I come up with and want to write. Those are different than what people see on stage as well. You know, when you do something and people enjoy that, that's the box they want to put you in. So if you write a script that's not comedic at all, or you have a premise idea for a film or whatever, you share it with people. You know, it used to be they would sit and they'd be, I'm okay, I'm waiting for the joke, and that type of thing. So I feel in a lot of different ways I am misunderstood. I'm sure after the special is shot, there will be people who will misunderstand it, what I'm saying as well. But that's why YouTube or whatever lets you filter out the comments. So
I ain't saying you should have killed her, but I understand.
exactly. So hopefully people understand what I'm saying and will understand it when I'm on stage and delivering the material as well.
So this is your first hour special.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about how you came up with the material for this hour special?
Just years. I mean, if anyone on there is watching or ever watches, you just know you're just writing, you're constantly performing, and your stuff is never perfect. But at a certain point, you got to say, I've done everything that I can do with it. And if you are anything like myself and Dion and a lot of other, not to say that it's just he and I, but other comedians, men and women out there who are looking to take the next step, take the next step, take the next step. Every time you craft a new joke, you're trying to figure out how that joke fits with what you have. And you're constantly trying to get to the point where that hour, in your mind at least, is perfect. You may work on a set and get it to a point where you have that 60 minutes. And to be honest with you, maybe once or twice a year, you'll do that 60 minutes and feel like that's perfect. The rest of the time you're doing it, you're like, all right, that's just good enough. But at a certain point, you gotta know when you're done with it and push it out.
So this special is coinciding with your birthday celebration. The next question I have for you is the reason why you're releasing this special now to go coincide with your birthday, or is that just how it lined up? What made you feel like this now is the time that I need to release this hour?
There's a couple different things. So my birthday kind of worked with it, and I always like to do things around my birthday because I like to be with my friends and we do something, dinner or something. Last year I did a movie premiere around my birthday and built it around that. This year it came about because I thought this would be the best time. Given it's Phoenix, summer was going to be awful to do it, especially because it was so hot. And if people can have the money, they get the hell out of town. Didn't want to do it too far after because then you're looking at back to school. You're looking at people having to get ready for the holidays and that type of thing. And it just kind of coincided with my birthday around my birthday was going to be the best time. And then the other thing with Marissa was it was Veterans Day as well. And I am a veteran. So I wanted to kind of celebrate all of those things at once and wanted my birthday and the Veterans Day to kind of be a part of it. In fact, I had set it up for the last couple of weeks that veterans could jump onto my site and actually get tickets for free to the show. So very happy for that, proud of that. Got a good group of tickets that went out to two veterans for no charge at all to them. And looking forward to having them out as well. So just wanted to kind of have a celebration all around and wanted the day to mean something to me. I wanted the entire process to mean something to me. The first tickets, the pre-sale tickets went out on my grandmother's birthday, who's been gone now for a little while. She passed away. But to celebrate her, I did that. And then the release of the rest of the tickets went out 2 days after on my mom's birthday again. So I wanted it to all mean something to me. So when I'm in my old age and make it easier for me to remember when I did this.
Nice. So, can we talk about the venue? It's not a traditional comedy club. What can you give us some of the reasons why you decided to shoot it at this venue as opposed to a traditional comedy club?
Man, I feel so lucky in my career that you and I talk about this all the time too. It's not just being good at what you do. You want to be a good person, build those relationships. So I feel very lucky that I've built the relationships with my home clubs here. Stand Up Live, Tempe Improv, CB Live. If you're in the Valley, if you're ever here, those are the clubs you want to go check out. We have plenty of clubs here, and those are good too, but those are our 3A clubs. I got with ownership of them and said, hey, look, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to produce and push out my own special. I want to do it at one of the clubs. And their response to me was, well, what are you looking to do? Do you want service? Do you not want service? Do you want this? Do you want that? And my response was, I just want to get the special done. And because they've been doing this a long time, they say, hey, this is what we're going to advise because you're not going to want service. You don't want service while you're shooting your special if you have the option. But if you don't have service, now that means all your people have to come in early. Now, if all your people have to come in early, it means we got to bring the staff in early. If we have to bring the staff in early, you got to pay for that, not us. Also, it's a little bit to go through to get the permission to use the name of the club behind you. So for a lot of people out there, if you don't know, a lot of specials that you watch, you won't see the name of the club behind you because you have to pay for that. So what they'll do is they'll bring in whatever set designer, and Dion knows this, whatever set designer or whatever, and pay that money out to cover that up if it's going to be shot in a club. And so there's a lot of money that goes into shooting it at a club, which I really wanted. But I trust these guys so much, and they say, Sydney, to be honest with you, if we were managing you, I would suggest you shoot it in a little black box theater or do it at something like a brewery, something that gives you some ambiance. And I looked around at little box theaters and just the overhead before one of you even come in to sit down, to me, was a little outrageous for what they were asking for. But I was prepared to go in that direction. And then I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, I got a good friend of mine who owns a fucking brewery. What am I thinking? And we've been talking about doing something anyway. So I went down, sat with him, told him what I wanted to do, and we jumped at the chance to work together. And I can't wait to shoot it there. It's a beautiful space. We've been friends for a long time. You know, he's like family to us. He's made it very, very easy, simple for me to kind of get things done. He's brought a stage in so we can make this happen and other things. And they built a green room area out for me. So I'll have that at my disposal as well. So couldn't turn out to be a better process, a long process all around with everything. But that's how we ended up where we are and where we'll be this Saturday.
So the special takes place on Saturday. Can you tell us some of the other comics that you have on the show, a little bit of background on how you picked them and the reason why you felt like they would be able to amplify this special evening for you?
Well, I'm going to start with you first. So I'm a firm believer in working with my friends. My close friend, Dion's like a brother to me. I would do anything for him. Obviously, you guys have seen us argue like fucking brothers on this podcast for years. And we argue when we're not on this podcast like brothers. But I never really want them to just, like you, I didn't want you just to be on stage. I wanted you to have something special. So you're going to do something special when you're here. And I hadn't even told him what it is yet. I think he's trying
He has not.
He doesn't even know what it is. The other part of it was I wanted to make sure that you could make it out. Like, people ask me, how come you weren't in my wedding? And I said, Dion wasn't in the wedding because, one, I knew what it was going to cost to be here. I knew it would cost to be put up. I knew what tuxedos and all those different things. And I don't want to put anyone in a situation, because you have a lot of other things going. You had to, where you travel, and we talk about this all the time. When you're traveling, you're doing shit. A lot of stuff is coming out of your own fucking pocket. And so what I didn't want was, I wanted you to be here when I got married, and I love that you were here, but I didn't want to put you in a position where you had to be here if it wasn't going to be something that you could accommodate, because I know you would do whatever to do it. So for that same reason, is the same reason I'm doing what I'm doing on this special. And I said to you, if you can make it, I would love for you to be here, because I have a role for you. And to me, the role that I have for you is more important than you being on stage. So with that said, the people I did pick, Jackie Tinsley. Jackie is going to be a fucking star. The first time I saw her was a year and a half ago, somewhere around there, and that's the first thing I said to her. You know, she's someone I don't mind putting my name behind and saying, you got to have a look at her. She's now got passed at the clubs. She's doing great. She headlined, or not headlined, she opened for a headliner a couple of weeks ago. He liked her so much that he took her with him to Texas this past weekend. So loving what she's doing. Obviously, as we all do, she's just going to grow and get better and better and better. But I wanted her to be a part of this. Another friend of mine is Ray Howard, another very funny guy, and I think he's going to be a star as well. And what I wanted was, I wanted us on stage, man. I wanted us, and so I have a black female and I have a black gay man on stage, and I know what it's like to feel like you're not going to get an opportunity to do anything with anyone ever, you know, and that type of thing. We go through that. So I wanted us on stage, and I don't apologize for it. I have people who said I should have booked this person, that person, this person, because they don't look like us, and to open it up for everyone. But I'm a firm believer, and you and I talk about this all the time. Just because we are all the same shade doesn't mean we all tell the same fucking story. So that's why I picked who I pick. I believe in them. I think they're very, very funny, and I think the audience is going to love them.
I'm super hyped for your special. I'm very proud of you. In closing, is there anything else that you can tell us that you're going to be putting on for this Saturday that won't give away the special, but just, you know, any little insight, any hurdle or hoop or faux pas that you wanted that you didn't quite get, or something that you're super looking forward to this Saturday?
I've been pretty emotional this last couple of weeks, just with myself, just kind of thinking about it. When I released the tickets, the VIP tickets were $60, and I kind of had to be talked into that from my team, if you will, into that price point, because I wasn't sure. As I am in this market, I wasn't sure, and I went with it. And those tickets sold in about a day and a half. And then people were hitting me up like, hey, I missed the VIP. Can I get more? Is there more? Is there going to be more? And I'm like, well, so I figured out a way to finagle the stage or the floor so, you know, I could come up with more, you know, for them. And those went. And so when that happened, Facebook, as we all know, Facebook brings up little things to remind you. And it brought up that not too long ago, I was at my old home club, and I was producing shows there, and the tickets were $10, and I was still giving half of those tickets away just to get people to come to the fucking show. And fast forward from that to now, I'm able to sell tickets for $60, and for them to go in a day and a half, I feel very humbled by that. I feel very blessed for that, and can't wait to see what the future holds, what's going to be next. You know, maybe next, and you and I are on the fucking road together touring, and we're selling tickets for $200 a ticket, and people are scooping those up. Who's to say?
He keeping more than half, y'all.
I would have never. I did not even have it in my head, with all the confidence that I have, Deon, and everything that I try to do and put out. I was the one who had to be talked into selling those tickets for $60, and to be talked into it and say, okay, let's see what happens. Because the other thing is, you put them out there for $60, no one fucking buys them. That's embarrassing. You know what I mean? The fuck, every ticket has been fucking sold except for these $60 tickets. And I'm just like, fuck. And if you know me, you know I'm a perfectionist. Like, I want every ticket to be sold. I want everyone to be here. Not so much because of the money, just because that's the goal that I have. And so if everyone bought everything else and said, fuck them tickets, I would not have looked at it like I still sold a bunch of tickets. I was like, man, why the fuck did we price those? Why did I let y'all
I
talk me
told y'all
into that?
$60 is too
Told
goddamn
you.
much.
So I feel very humbled, and I feel very blessed to have friends like you. And Chad is on here watching right now. And my brother and my sister-in-law are flying in from Frisco. People are driving in from LA. People are coming in from the East Coast to be here. So I feel very fortunate, very blessed to have so many people around me on this night. And I hope I do it justice. I hope everyone feels like I did it justice. I hope everyone feels like it was worth the fucking trip to come, even if you're coming from next door. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Birthday party right after, then the after party after that. It's gonna be a load of fucking fun. My boy Arthur's gonna be coming in, funny dude himself, but he's bringing his camera. He's an amazing behind the camera, so I'm gonna get some fantastic fucking pictures of all of my comedian friends as well, because that's something I am fascinated with, the history of comedy. I know this answer is getting a little longer than you expected. I'm fascinated with the history of comedy. Yeah, right. Hit the Oscar music.
I'm about to start playing you off.
I'm fascinated with the history of comedy and the pictures that, if you go back and look and see the comics who were hanging out together and then where they were. So to have pictures where there's me, you, my homegirl Bree Geiger, who's fucking super talented, my guy Arthur coming in from LA, who's super fucking talented, a couple of comics here that I invited out, because I didn't invite a bunch of comics out. If you're here, you're a comedian, didn't pay, it's because I wanted you here. So to get all of us together and be able to get those shots together, and for me to have them fucking to look at down the road, and when we all get to where we're gonna be, bro, I cannot. I'm gonna be fucking in tears, bro. Be able to see that and have that memory. So, yeah, man. I hope that answers the question. I have no fucking idea, but so.
It did. My final question: once the special is filmed and you've got all the processing done, where will people be able to find the special?
So that'll be the next stressor. So sitting down with everyone has kind of their ideas of where they wanted to go, and I just want to listen and see you. And I think you and I touched on this, but there's some who think Hulu, some think Amazon Prime, some say Apple TV is getting ready to do something. Maybe we can get it up on that. And then there's some headliners I've talked to who said just put the shit straight up on YouTube, bro. And so, I think you had a great point. Send it to whoever's going to give you the best help promoting it. And I retain the control and rights of everything. So if we can make that happen with a third party, like someone like that, I would love to have it on one of those platforms. But maybe it just ends up on YouTube, like a lot of other specials are going up on YouTube right now. So it's just going to be wherever. But wherever it goes, it probably won't be till maybe late spring, early summer. But I'll be sure to let everybody know where it is.
Well, I just want to say before you film everything, I'm super proud of you.
Thanks, man.
I know how much work it goes into building an hour, let alone performing an hour and then recording an hour. So just shout out to you for all the hard work that you do, brother to brother. I'm proud of you. I'm super excited to be coming in on Thursday, and I'm looking forward to Saturday and then celebrating your birthday, because I know you're going to kill it on stage. So we're going to have a great time.
Oh, man, there's the pressure right there, man. I'm just like,
Don't put up no brick.
I got to get my mama mentality out.
I'm going to do you like Joe Jackson. Who left the towel in the pool?
Yeah. Hey, bro, if I wake up in the middle of the night before and you try to set my toes on fire with matches, we're going to be a problem. Ricky says this is a debate show. I try to be respectful but have different opinions. Rick, I want you to have different opinions. Just have.
I want you to have concise opinions.
That's it.
That's all. Just opinion that we can read and understand, so that we can debate back and forth with you, Rick. That's all it is.
Rick says you're going to have to yell at me more than that. I can take it back as much as I can give. Rick, I appreciate that. Just have a leg to stand on. Thank you guys who watch the show every week. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for jumping in here with us. And to my friends who are watching right now and commenting, thank you guys. I love you guys. Chad, we will see you at dinner on Friday. Malay, I will see you on Saturday. Dion, of course, I'm going to see. I know Marissa will be there. She and her husband will be there as well. I'm just happy. We are at about 150 tickets. So 150 people, and we still got some tickets to go. I like to get the thing sold out, but if I don't, the show's got to go. But 150 is still that's still a good showing. And it's not like it's 15, so I'll take it.
Yeah, 15 would be embarrassing, and I would want my money back for the plane ticket. So
Carla,
I'm just
Carla
going.
will be there. That would be great because I have to tell you, bro. You saw it was only 15 people here. I don't have the money to give you back for the plane
Like,
ticket.
well, you should have had it. All this goddamn. Why you pay for that? Why you pay? Oh, you can pay for that, but you can't pay for this. Oh, I see how.
Breaking it
I'm
off. What
about
do
to.
you need all these lights? What you pay for all these chairs and tables? You don't even need all this. Can't
I'm
believe you
taking
don't know
some of
more than
this shit
15
back on
people.
the plane with me. This a carry on right here.
It is fucking bananas, man. Fucking bananas. Yeah. So yeah, that's it, man. Good idea. I appreciate it. You letting me speak about it, and me not having just to speak about it. I would have felt weird. So I
No,
appreciate
no.
you, brother. I love
Like I
you.
said,
I love you for it.
I love you too, bro. Misunderstood will be filmed this Saturday. It will release sometime next year. You guys will enjoy it. I'm gonna get to see it live, so we'll talk about it next Monday. Joanne and Lee said, where can they watch the special? It won't be released till next year, and we'll let you know once he figures out where he wants to release it from, whether it be YouTube or any other third party. We'll give you that information as we get it.
100%. 100%. Who knows? It may be great. I may get signed.
Who knows? Hey, fingers crossed, man. Prayers up. I'm anything that you do. I know you put your whole heart into, and it's one of the main reasons why you and I clicked the way we did when we first met. I could tell right away this guy wasn't half stepping. He really cares about the art of comedy, which is, as a fellow comic, when you meet people who are just out there bullshitting, it irritates you if you're serious about it. And
100%.
so
100%.
when we met and I saw that this guy's serious about his craft, that's part of what gelled us. Because we're completely opposite on just about everything else but comedy,
If you haven't noticed.
right? Because I'm
Well, that and
tall, you're
loyalty.
short,
Comedy and
I'm
loyalty.
handsome. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I
Yeah,
got your back.
we are. Yeah, we're fucking loyal. We're loyal dudes. If you a good person, we are loyal dudes. I heard your little comment.
Yeah, I know you heard
I
it.
heard you.
I know you heard it.
I
I'm
heard you.
handsome.
I,
You third world ugly.
yeah, I'm just getting by. But check this out. Let me tell you something. I will tell you guys something, and then I'll let you guys go. I don't want to keep you any longer. I appreciate it. I mean, look, yes, most everybody who was with us is still with us, so thank you. I appreciate it. I went out with my wife over the weekend, and we got out for some husband and wife time, and we went to Dillard's, which is one of our favorite times around this year. They do all the Christmas stuff, and it's just fantastic. And Dion, to tell you, we're in the fucking holidays. We got shit anyway. So we go in, and we're talking to the folks who work there, the staff, because we've gotten to know them, and they're going to be at the show actually as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But one of them looks at me. First thing she says, "Man, you look tired." That's the first thing she says to me in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday. And I'm just like, I am tired. So once everybody flies out, I'm probably going to just take 2 days and just fucking sleep because I feel so stressed out and so tired. But that comment was a perfect way. I feel like she got me. She understood me in a way. After that, Tamara was like, you know what? You work really hard. Because she said it? Now you understand. But anyway, that's it.
Know what the hell this week. We do appreciate each and everybody watching. Make sure before you guys sign off that you hit that share button. It greatly, greatly helps the show, the algorithm, all that stuff. We appreciate it. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. And thank you guys for another fantastic episode.
You guys are awesome. Have a great week. We will be back next week. We'll see you. I might be a little raspy and still hungover, but we'll be back.